Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's the second semi-final of the evening, and up next is going to be a great game. We have Atlanta FaZe going up against Minnesota Røkkr, and I think chance coming in, a lot of people are saying, yep, this is going to be an easy one. Atlanta FaZe, we'll see them in the final, 3-0, let's get this done. Not going to be the case, in my opinion. If you look at Atlanta FaZe's records overall, Hardpoint, I believe, is 10-1, Search and Destroy 8-1. Who is the, where did the one come from? Who have they lost to?
Both of those ones are the Minnesota Røkkr. The last time, well, the only time these guys have played, it went to a Game 5. Minnesota started the series 2-0 up. And like the weakest game mode FaZe has is domination, where they've lost 2 maps rather than just 1, but that's where they kicked off the reverse sweep to take Minnesota down. But it has been Minnesota that have pushed this team the farthest. It has been this team that made Atlanta FaZe look the most average, made them look mediocre at different times, and of course, didn't last very long. But again, it should be a close match, Ben.
All the game fuel keys to victory for Atlanta FaZe. Don't change anything. I take it map by map. Pretty simple stuff on that standard, but when you talk about Minnesota Røkkr and their keys to victory, someone outside of Alex and Guerrillas needs to step up. They need to slay more against FaZe.
And the last time they played, that guy was Assault. Assault threw up like a 1.6 or something like that in the hard points in the series. He played like a god among men in that map, and that's the same thing they're going to need. It's got to be the main AR that steps up for this squad, if not, again, just all 5 of them. I mean, they all 5 realistically need to step up, but Assault, he's got to bear the brunt of that weight.
And something fascinating you were talking about as we were walking up, getting ready to go to the casting booth, was the pacing issues between the two teams and how, although very, very different, it somewhat works for Minnesota toe-to-toe.
It was just something I was talking to the coaches about. This was their analysis, not mine. But effectively, you have Guerrillas and Assault, 2 fairly slow players on the map. Assault especially kind of the metal boots. And then you got Asim and Alex running in front of him fast as hell. And then, of course, on the flip side for FaZe, it is just all hyper-aggressive players. So a team like Minnesota, it's so tough to play against. When 2 guys are constantly in your face, you finally get past them, and then there's guys across the map gunning you with the M4.
Well, Azir Cave will be map number 1 in this series. And Chance, I wanted to ask you just a little bit in terms of what we saw last series, what we're going to see this series. Any similarities, any big differences that you've noticed?
I mean, again, I think just similarities. You just talk about how consistently good both these teams. Again, you look at a team like Minnesota, especially on a map like Azir Cave, the rotations are always on point. But off the break, it is incredibly important. Minnesota has been dominating this first hill phase. They got to be aggressive right off the break.
I was going to say, you're going to be pretty happy if you're Minnesota Røkkr playing Azir Cave as your map number 1. They've been very, very good at rotations, very, very good at holding hills for full 60. And already, as you can see, it's going to be Minnesota Røkkr swanning on the favorable side of the map. Of course, for that second hill when it pops, but you got to deal with aBeZy. You cannot let him just roam around, find himself a couple kills, and you can see instantly, with 40 seconds left of the hill, aBeZy does not care. He knows the importance. He's pushing through, trying to play for spawns.
And so patient as well. I mean, he's just hanging out, waiting for it to come, and he wins the gunfight on Asim, but for the moment, a bit of a lone man. He's actually not forcing the action on the spawns. He wants to get these kills straight on top of rock wall. He's on a 5 spree, and he's keeping his team alive in the hill.
Oh, my lord. aBeZy showing no signs of slowing down. Finally, Assault finds the kill. Selim also on a 5 streak, by the way. But if you can see right at the back of the map, it's number 7. It's Simp. He's doing a good job blocking the spawns, but for how long? Does anyone from Minnesota even know Simp's there? I don't think they do yet, Chance.
Minnesota don't have a clue. They're not going to figure out until these spawns come in. So Simp, his job is just to hang out and wait. He only has 1 kill for the moment, but he doesn't need too many more to break it open.
The problem is Minnesota, they're still spawning in cave side. So for them, well, game's going to be paused. So don't worry, you're not missing any of the action. It was just about to get very, very interesting because I think the problem Minnesota had is they did not realize that Simp was there.
I don't think they know, and I'm not trying to give him any intel. I will say, we used to be the Game 5 duo.
we're the pause duo.
Almost every single series we've casted, there's been a pause.
Yes.
Like, we get all of them, Ben.
Maybe that's why there were so many pauses in the high battle. Maybe it's me. I'm a pause curse.
Possibly.
I'm a pause curse, apparently.
Possibly. We got to retake and get some of that Game 5 juju back and switch it out just a little bit.
Honestly, I always joke about it. But you know how I always say, tactical pauses coming through. You want to try and ice your opponent. I tell you what, if I'm Minnesota Røkkr, I want to try and ice aBeZy real quick because that was a hell of a way to start map number 1 in this semifinal.
And it was beautiful plays by him as well. Again, a lot of players, as soon as they have that opening to go on the full flank, they played as fast as possible.
They did,
he took his time and he knew, like we saw when Simp was back there. Not that he was, no comment.
No, of course, he's not there. He's definitely
not exactly
not there.
Like, you're not forcing spawns out on that P1 to an extreme degree. You could play a little bit higher up. But aBeZy, of course, he knew that, so he's playing a little bit more passive, make sure he could play for those kills, circles back to rock wall, and is just doing his thing, picking up the kills. So you don't always need the hyper-aggression, Ben. Sometimes you got to make the smart plays, but FaZe, of course, they're going to be doing it all.
All right, well, apparently there's a bit of a technical issue, so apologies about that. We're going to do a quick commercial break while we get the issue sorted. When we return, map number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Whilst we quickly wait for the game to get underway, I want to take a look at our U.S. Air Force quick scope and comparing the two teams in this game, Minnesota Røkkr and Atlanta FaZe. Hardpoint KD favors Atlanta, S&D KD favors Atlanta, and so does the Domination KD. But again, the important thing to remember is when these two teams played last time, Chance, it went all the way to a Game 5. It was the Minnesota Røkkr with the 2-0 advantage. And here's a look at our maps and modes, again, presented by the U.S. Air Force. Azir Cave, Game 1, Gunrunner, Hackney Yard, a Ramaza, and a Piccadilly.
And just to talk about the repeat maps as well, both of the search and destroys we saw in the past, the Piccadilly, that Game 5, that is the only S&D that FaZe has lost. Obviously, they lost to the Røkkr, yes, and that was 6-2, and even the Gunrunner, it was toe-to-toe. It was 6-4. It went the way of FaZe, and that was the game where aBeZy was dropping first bloods left and right.
And one thing to note, if it does go to that Piccadilly search and destroy, one of the keys to success for Minnesota was GodRx, the sniper rifle, how potent he was there. But we're going to have a full restart for game number 1. We didn't really miss much. We didn't miss much.
We missed a hill.
Just a hill, right? It's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. But Atlanta FaZe, again, spawning on the unfavorable side. We'll see if aBeZy can, once again, start off hot.
Can you imagine if it happens the exact same way?
I mean,
it opens up on a 5 spree. Like, I think the first blood was the nade from the Røkkr, and they killed Simp. If everything goes as well, but of course, you see the start's actually different. aBeZy going straight up the middle of the map. The nades, though, coming into full effect, but they don't take any lives down. This time, Cellium, first one to get a crack.
Well, it's a different route, but he ends up roughly the same position anyway. Not found any kills just yet. Minnesota going to have to do a much better job to not allow Simp behind enemy lines. Of course, he did such a good job to block the spawns for the second hill. As things stands, though, it's Atlanta FaZe inside.
Atlanta FaZe doing a really nice job looking over top. You see Major Maniac jumps out from his position as all of his teammates die. And, well, now he's just vying for position right now as Minnesota again on the first hill. They've been so clean. But you talk about being clean. Number 3, Assault somehow let Simp through. And, well, now his job is clear. Block the spawns.
And Simp's going to do exactly what you saw him do before the restart. get to the back of the map, block the spawn. And the problem that Minnesota Røkkr are going to have here is if they still spawn in cave, they're not necessarily going to know Simp is back there.
And this is where communication is key. When they're getting these kills in the Minnesota Røkkr, they have to call out the players they're killing and the players they're looking for. These errors, we haven't started to see them turn around and look for anything in their spawn. They have no idea, and now Simp has secured the spawns for his teammates. They're going to get shot in the back, and now Assault's calling it out. Guys, they're behind us. We lost the rotation, and FaZe doing it perfectly, rotating to P2.
Just say, well, no, now Priest gets himself the double kill. Atlanta FaZe 22-20 the score, only down by 2 points, but should be good to hold these spawns. Unfortunately, though, no one inside the hill as of yet, but still a minute advantage in favor of Atlanta FaZe for this hill specifically. Simp pinching in, there's one, couldn't find the second. However, Priest, he's found his way over towards the hill. Trophy will go down as well, so this should be almost like a little bit of a reset here for Atlanta FaZe.
Just about. I mean, 20 seconds left on this hill. You can see Minnesota, they're setting up to try to get one more shot through. But I mean, Priesta hanging out with an M4. If you're GodRx, I don't know how you get through. I don't know how you win this gunfight, but he's just going to go for the instant challenge.
Okay.
Rip him off the head glitch, and GodRx with that kill bought his team, well, a couple points that FaZe don't get.
I keep riding the mini up again. It's number 6. This time it's Major Maniac, who's managed to find his way over towards the new hill. Could be a nuisance here for Minnesota Røkkr, and it's just a couple of times now Minnesota letting a few players slip by. Got to be a little bit more aware. You cannot allow FaZe to do this continuously because it's, you know, you look at those 10 seconds, 20 seconds contest. In a game like this, that could very well be the difference between winning and losing.
Right now, Major Maniac, he was just waiting for his teammates to come help him out, trying to provide a little bit of that cover over top, but there's the first kill coming through for him. GodRx, though, instantly for the trade, but all the M4s in the kill feed right now, showing up for the side of FaZe, but they got to take care of GodRx. Cellian does just that.
And again, for Minnesota, you're going to be thinking in your back of your mind around about 25 seconds, make sure we hold the spawn or the new hill when it pops. Unfortunately, though, they lose full hill control. So this final 20 seconds, you would assume, will be good for Atlanta FaZe. Now it's all about setting up if you're on Minnesota Røkkr. And a quick glance at your stats there. Really nothing too much to shout about on the side of Minnesota Røkkr. And same can be said, really, for Atlanta FaZe. Even game.
Bad news for Minnesota, obviously down by about 30 points. The good news is they get the full setup that they want. GodRx is already watching the right side of cave. He's got 2 teammates right behind him watching the left. And then, of course, you got to see him. Well, his job is just to watch the flank and FaZe on the approach. 3 players starting to creep their way forward.
And this is a great setup for Minnesota Røkkr. It's absolutely perfect, to be completely honest with you. 3 players full already. They will soak up so much of this early hill time.
So you can see the player crosses. He just needs to hang out. The smoke, though, blocking off one line of sight. Sim's able to find a kill, and now the ARs, you can see, having so much trouble just worrying about that little tunnel push. But, of course, the damage is just enough to get FaZe near the hard point. But FaZe, again, job is done. They got Minnesota out.
Can they get control of the hill themselves? That's the problem. GodRx is still up. He's going to have to push forward, get a little bit of hill control. 20 seconds left. And honestly, it should be good to go in favor of Minnesota Røkkr. GodRx realizing probably need to push through here. He's going to fall. Unfortunately, nothing he can do about that. Abizi with some good timing. But again, so far, very close game.
Just back and forth again. Whatever team is able to rotate to the hill first, they're able to secure it for the majority of the time. Both teams doing a pretty good job of being annoying, of just trying to keep the team out of it for a couple seconds. This time, though, FaZe, again, the early rotation. They're towards new. Alex, though, he's trying to pierce his way through the middle. He's going to get chopped down in Minnesota. They got to find a way to get through the middle of the map. I
mean, this last hill can be so tough to break. It really can. You need a pinch, and you know you have to use your utilities very, very well. GodRx going to try and push from the front. He has a support of a seat. Now, yes, you're getting the kills, but unfortunately for Minnesota Røkkr, Atlanta FaZe, they're still going to spawn there. So you still have to try and win another couple of gunfights and push over towards cave side just to influence the spawn out.
You can hold this from the front, though. You got 2 players that were already on the sandbags, picking up quite a few kills. GodRx has been hanging out. Like, yes, Selim's in the power position, and he was getting 5 kills, but GodRx is going to clean him up. And again, yes, FaZe get that early rotation, but Minnesota do a great job of just keeping him out for as long as possible.
And the big issue is, yes, you can hold it from the front, but you don't necessarily want to. You do want to push through so you can make sure you have spawns for the second hill in the second rotation. And well, speaking of our second rotation, we're about 5 seconds away, and it's Atlanta FaZe with a very, very small lead, 103-92. And the new hill will pop. Atlanta FaZe should have a little bit of control, but this is a key gunfight. Priester, unfortunately, is not going to win it. So again, advantage Minnesota in terms of the big picture.
Fairness, though, Priesta has bought his team a little bit of time. They have it set up in and around the hill. Abizi again on the rock wall. His job is just to slay. GodRx is going to drop him. But even still, Minnesota, they have just now been able to contest the hill. But Alex, it's really just him and his team kind of by themselves in the nades. Enough to take him out. FaZe just trying to build this lead on P1, even if they're not able to get the spawns for new.
GodRx having a relatively decent game, as is Assault. 14 and 10, 14 and 11. A lot of hill time going GodRx's way, but again, they cannot give up this spawn. They need to make sure they're controlling it. Hardpoint's currently going to be contested. The nades come through. It's a good start, but keep your eye on the bottom side of the mini-map. It's number 3. It's Assault, who was at fault in that first rotation for allowing Simp to sneak through. This time, though, not going to be the case.
Yeah, Assault's actually killed Simp twice. Simp is just repeatedly trying to do the exact same thing. FaZe is working the very bottom side of that map, and well, that's Alex's job to watch that now, but he's effectively keeping these 2 players at bay. Needs to stay alive as long as possible.
I mean, he's going to need some help because that push is going to come through, and I'd be very surprised to see Alex kill both, maybe one, but a double kill probably not going to happen unless he gets perfect timing. He collapses through, and there's the double from Alex. A huge play for the Minnesota Røkkr. He'll see 2 more players flanking. The reaction has to come through. Unfortunately, Silly drops it. Now look at the spawn. Atlanta FaZe in a great position to break.
They got the spawn, but GodRx does have the back lane, and FaZe, despite the back spawn, they're not going to try to force it through the back. They were trying to wrap back and kind of go through that middle cut, but this is a ton of time wasted.
And the reason behind that is there's only 30 seconds left on the hill, so they don't want to necessarily screw themselves for the new hill. They want to make sure they're still in a favorable position to rotate across the map. It's a tough decision to make, but potentially the right one.
That's all that time spent, though, trying to get those back spawns. They have no success, and they have to get out of dodge oh so quick. And, well, that'll be the largest lead Minnesota's had this entire game. Not a massive one, but they'll take it now on the rotation. I mean, you can see the game plan from Silly. Go all the way around. Take your time, get 1 or 2 kills, you're good to go.
Again, if people thought this was going to be a blowout or a bloodbath, it's not going to be the case. Minnesota Røkkr playing so well, and that's such an important kill for Silly to get. It opens up the entire backside of the map, and look what it's done to the spawns. Atlanta FaZe spawning in Narnia.
And how smart that is from Silly to even find a BZ in that spot. These are teams that have played together against each other so many times in scrims, and Minnesota can take it to him. Alex inside the hill. Yes, he gets dropped, but his teammates always there for the trade.
And this is where composure is going to be massive for Minnesota Røkkr. Recognizing the situation, yes, we have the advantage, but we need to make sure we're covering every single lane. You don't want to push too far. You don't want to overcommit. And it's going to come down to Atlanta FaZe off spawn. I believe that's going to be Priest at top cave. If he can rotate and win that gunfight on your minimap, you'll see it at the very top, which unfortunately he's not going to be able to do. It's Alex locking things down for Minnesota.
And this is a big fight. This actually hurt Minnesota earlier when they didn't have a player in this position.
Tell you what, he's going to find this as well.
But now he's here, gets the first kill, and that means FaZe is going to be so distracted trying to hunt this man down. They get a free setup at noon.
This could be where Minnesota actually completely take over in this game. Atlanta FaZe will need to break, and unfortunately for them, they're going to have to do it through the front. Asim says no. Abizi and Simp both fall, and for him now it's about playing his life.
And this is beautiful. You have FaZe pushed so far back in the map in Minnesota. They're trying to open up and give away these back spawns. That's how far away FaZe is going to be. 20 seconds off the clock. Finally, the gunfights are happening around the hill.
But you've got to win the gunfights, and they're not going to be able to do so. It's going to come down to GodRx. He finds the first. The flank from Priesta should be enough to clear out the hill. The problem is what you do off spawn if you're Minnesota Røkkr. Already a couple players thinking, you know what? Forget that hill. I'll let you contest it. I'm going to try and push bridge. I'm going to try and push for the new spawns.
And Priest is starting to get a little bit hot. He's on the 5 spree. He is dominating the feed, and he has bought his team that remainder of scrap time. That was a massively important hill for FaZe to get through. Now the rotation coming over to New and selling the old MVP. He's the lone man on the charge.
190, 169. Advantage Minnesota Røkkr, but it's going to be Atlanta FaZe in the favorable position for the final hill of our second rotation.
And Priesta right now on a 7 spree again. He is trying to take his team on a Zir cave and turn this all the way around. His teammates are doing a great job of locking down the front. And now you're trying to come through this cut. You got to deal with the hot hand of Priesta, who is not missing, Ben.
You have to shut him down. You have to. It's an 8 streak right now, roaming around the map. Meanwhile, Minnesota still trying to cross the bridge, and FaZe shutting it down, having absolutely none of that nonsense. 30 seconds left on this hill. And this is tricky for Minnesota because, again, you do want to consider pushing all the way through just in case we see a second hill of our third rotation.
Finally someone deals with Priest, of course, though, inside the hill. Minnesota once again fighting from a tough spot, being annoying, getting inside the hill, and now they're actually keeping FaZe pushed pretty far back.
And this is huge. If they get the scrap time, then essentially you can win the game on the first hill. You may not even see P2, but the kills keep coming through. Silly finds himself 3. That's 6 in a row for him, 3 in a row for GodRx. And Minnesota Røkkr, they can almost touch the finish line of game 1.
Anything Priesta can do, Silly can do better. A godlike performance so far from him. FaZe not in the hill. They're fighting for these back spawns.
You have to be perfect here, though, if you're Minnesota. 30 seconds all you need to win, but you have to consider the fact that Atlanta FaZe will contest the first hill. Asim, a big decision he needs to make. Does he want to push through or cut back towards the hill? Well, his teammates are there. You can end it here if you're Minnesota. Asim decides to cut back. There's the first. first. Atlanta FaZe have to push the hill.
A lot of players going to be coming in through yellow. A lot of players coming in through the cave. Asim, he doesn't even know where to look. He's taking too long. He's just waiting for FaZe players. 12 seconds and the game will be Minnesota.
Sim just gets a triple though. Can he contest the hill? At least for 10 seconds. That's all you have to do. Assault will need the help of the nade comes through. And bear in mind, if Minnesota don't close it out here, Atlanta FaZe have the favorable spawn for P2.
FaZe is going to have the setup for new. Their job is done on this first hill. Guerrillas with 3. Alex and his team get the next 2, but you're going to have to win another wave at 2 with gunfight.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're 4 seconds away from winning, but Atlanta FaZe in position to close it out here. They get every single second of P2. And one player snuck through. Number 4, it's Silly again. He's been a menace on the map so far in the first game, and no one's looking for him. Major Maniac doesn't know he's there. Priest tags him up. Silly doing a good job of just staying alive. Buying time for his teammates, and Silly wins the fight. Priesta will fall. And now it comes down to his teammates pushing through the front door. Atlanta FaZe, do you have what it takes to break? Or will Minnesota Røkkr take game 1?
15 minutes ago, Ben, FaZe was 10-1 in a hard point. Their only map loss was to Minnesota, and now they are 10-2. Both of these hard points, Minnesota seems to be the perfect team to try and take FaZe down.
Minnesota went 2-0 up against Atlanta FaZe last time. They got reverse swept. You cannot let that happen again. Learn from your mistakes.
And you talk about the stats from the team before. We know that Røkkr and Alex are going to be putting up big numbers. But the question was, you asked me before the series, what player needs to step up for the team and really kick it up another notch? In my head, I was thinking Assault, but you know what? Silly. Flips the switch, 30-29. And you talk about, we watched Priesta go on a 9 spree. Silly, the instant bounce back goes on a 6 of his own.
And that's 30 kills, 29 deaths, 13 assists to his name as well. And it wasn't even necessarily about the stats, right? It was when he went on his streak, and it was the plays he was making around the map. If you think about P3 on the second rotation, Silly flanks all the way around the outside, wins a miraculous gunfight. Later on in that same rotation, a 6 streak. Right at the very end, who's the player from Minnesota that pushes through to influence the spawns and force a distraction? It was Silly again.
It's just big plays the whole way around, and he gets the play of the game as well. Silly was just racking up feeds, and we're going to take another look. He's already got the triple feed he's starting with there. The next 2 players lined up for him, and that was 5 in a row in the feed for him. Silly making big plays the whole way around and at the perfect time. That's when they had a 30-point lead, and that's when they just started the wrap all the way to new.
That was a 12-game streak Atlanta FaZe were on. That streak comes to a very hasty end. Minnesota Røkkr continuing where they left off, it feels, against Atlanta FaZe with the 1-0 advantage. And again, to reiterate, last time they played, it was a 2-0 lead for Minnesota Røkkr. If they do that again, they have to close it out. They cannot give FaZe a lifeline in a series whatsoever.
And it's not even as if the reverse sweep story from FaZe was Minnesota collapsing. That's not really the case. It was genuinely that FaZe stepped up, but the maps were close the entire way through. Like even the game 5, it was what, a 6-4 on Gunrunner is how it ended. So Minnesota, again, was going toe-to-toe the entire time. But of course, we do know, even if FaZe do lose the map, which it's rare that it happens, but it does, they're also one of the best teams, if not the best, at bouncing back.
I was gonna say, it happens a little more regularly than I'm sure they like against Minnesota Røkkr. 1-0 down in this series, as we now head over to a Gunrunner Search and Destroy, our game 2 in this series.
And again, this is the repeat map, the game number 5 these 2 teams played against last time. It was a BZ that really stepped up for the team, had 3 first bloods, was going on an absolute tear, and that's kind of what the talking point was, that some of these players on FaZe, they can just flip that switch and take over a game when they need to.
And Chance, we said this wasn't going to be an easy game by any means, and we also both agreed that Minnesota Røkkr is a team that could potentially find themselves in a final here this weekend. Well, 2 more maps, and that will be the case. Already, though, love what we're seeing from Atlanta FaZe, a very fast A push.
Silly can see nothing. So many players have already gotten the cross. Guerrillas knows it. He can feel the pressure. Silly, by the way, blooded. There is a technical trade, but Guerrillas, he is pushed so far away in the back, but the timing might be perfect. Can't find the kill on Sim.
Sim's very lucky he actually missed that jump, because if he makes it, Guerrillas finds that kill. As Alex mid-tracks is going to have a lot of work to do here. A couple of his teammates, of course, already fallen. Asim and Silly down for the count. 4 players from Atlanta FaZe still up as Alex just showing you how confident he feels going for that region.
FaZe right now not comfortable with the bomb. Number 7 though, Simp, he has found his way through. He is behind effectively two different players. While this bomb is getting planted, Simp, he'll be the playmaker.
GodRx is still at the back of the map as well. BZ has to be careful not to make too much noise, but it seems like it's a decent post plant set up by Atlanta FaZe. By no means is it perfect, and it's not perfect because Assault can be the playmaker here for Minnesota. Røkkr only finds one. BZ with the trade, but GodRx again missing a prime opportunity to shut down one player, and unfortunately for BZ, he challenges and GodRx finds the kill.
1v1, 20 seconds left. GodRx is going to have to fly. Cillium, an amazing S&D player in his own right, but he is given upside on bomb. He's going to have to check this.
15 seconds. Surely finds a kill, he does. Seems throughout Cillium's career, we've talked about him in Search and Destroy. Those clutch moments. Provides again.
I was going to say, he's going to have to check this very quick and might have to put himself in a bad spot. But on the flip side, what GodRx has to do is hunt that man down and guess and hope you pick the right direction. But a great round from FaZe, and it really just came through. They got full control of the A site. Minnesota was pushed so far back. And I think it happens a lot in this game. It's if you get the bomb planted on offense, Modern Warfare, right now teams have about 2 out of 3, 67% chance of making sure they get that round win.
On board with BZ. You can already see his play at the start of this round. Meanwhile, Silly will find a first blood for the Minnesota Røkkr. Instantly, that's traded out by BZ, who, as you mentioned, last time in that Game 5, he was the player from Atlanta FaZe that just turned up the heat a little bit, and it's a 3-1 start for him already here in Game 2.
Bomb though, gonna get planted again. As soon as you get that bomb down, instantly you have a massive advantage. You got players right now for FaZe thinking about the flank, but Minnesota have it covered. Time is a-ticking.
35 seconds on the clock. Down full, Cillium, Seam looking, making sure no one's on bomb. Will find one up top though, that's Simp that drops. Now you find yourself a 3v2 as BZ shuts down Silly. Priest finds Assault, now it's 2v2. 20 seconds on the clock. Again, Seam checking bomb. Everything right, but he just needs to stay alive here. Doesn't even necessarily have to challenge this fight. He knows the pinch is coming through. Such a good read from Asim. He will fall, but the trade is there. Minnesota Røkkr, the post-plant positioning, very, very good.
Just too good, and I will say FaZe was making plays to make that interesting, but we've seen this time and time again from Minnesota. As soon as they get the bomb down, Asim, he'll push past. Sometimes he'll sit in the little crate crack, sometimes he'll go a little bit farther, but he'll randomly just come back, check it. He's the man responsible from bomb, and his teammates, they just have to watch the mid-cut, they just have to watch the flank. Asim will do the rest. And
it's not an easy job, to be completely honest. You're worried about so many different angles.
It's all about the timing.
It really is. And I mean, you saw there Asim with a fantastic read, a little help from his teammate, and of course for the final trade, but it's tied up 1 round apiece. As we have a quick peek at what Assault sees, it's going to be Silly on the flank that draws the first blood. A BZ down.
Question is, you got to find a BZ, make sure he doesn't get the first blood. Silly makes the read and takes him out, selling him with a technical trade. And now FaZe, all 4 players, slowly working their way to the B site.
And I think Minnesota were worried about another A push, but Assault getting that information should secure that information is not going to be the case. And more than likely, it's going to be B. The nade hit marker will do just that, but Cellian finds a pick onto Alex. So Atlanta FaZe now with the advantage.
See, these teams are doing their homework. Cellian waiting for the timing. If Cellian can lay down and get a kill, so can Silly. Prone players all over the place. Cellian can't finish the kill, but Major Maniac can.
So it's Silly and GodRx for the 2v3. GodRx peaks. Now it's down to him. A 1 versus 2. Major Maniac and Priest are still alive.
And I like this play. He just gets out of dodge. He has dead silence pop. They do not know he's here. The kill on Major Maniac.
It's the read!
Makes the read, but Priesta with the gunfight shuts him down.
He did everything right, but just couldn't win the final gunfight. Priesta instantly turns and instantly snaps. Advantage Atlanta FaZe 2-1.
All about those gunfights. Again, everyone on the map on point right now with their reads, with a gun skill, and all it takes is a bullet.
I know we're only a map and a couple of rounds or 3 rounds in, but this is turning out to be a very, very good series so far. As Minnesota Røkkr back on the attack, can they tie it up? Or will this be where Atlanta FaZe edge out that advantage?
Alex is just Superman on the map right now. 8 nade and 2 or 3 MP5 bullets.
He's fine. Plenty of health.
300 health.
Cellium in such a little sneaky spot, of course, between crates. If anyone pushes up towards B, he will be the player to hunt down. He gets the audio cue, but unfortunately for him, aBeZy falls for first blood. It's Alex that hunts him down. So pressure really here on Cellium, but they take the corner. Asim says peekaboo. Cellium falls, and Bomb should be good to go down.
Asim plays that spot enough to know that's the most important thing to check. Major Maniac does take Asim down, but not in time to stop the bomb from getting planted.
I was going to say, Alex, really pushing your luck, staying in that spot. Priest shuts him down here, but it's a 3 versus 3. Of course, for Atlanta FaZe, they will need to defuse. Major Maniac will fall. GodRx with 1. Simp up top, crates. GodRx dodges that. Priest hits the flank, but it's a trade, so it all falls down to Simp. A 1v2, and he has a lot of work to do and not much time to do it in 15 seconds. Has to find 2 kills and hop the bomb. It's pretty much going to be impossible. Yes, impossible.
If that was wall-bangable, I would have learned something today, and Simp would have had an insane 1v2 clutch against 2 world champions. An impressive round, though, from Minnesota. Again, if you can get the bomb down, it just makes your life that much easier. And once again, we already mentioned aBeZy on this map was like the first blood king last time they've played. We've seen now 2 rounds in a row where aBeZy gets first blooded, where they find him on the map and take him down. You talk about the counter strats that Minnesota has been putting in work for.
Well, Simp's going to pull out the sniper rifle this round, which more than likely suggests you'll see that post-plant positioning. Bomb goes down at B, sniper up top warehouse. And as well, you can watch the cross as Simp's going to show you here. As first blood comes through, Simp so close to finding a quick second.
And as mentioned, aBeZy has been the first blood king on this map. He will always be the first man in a gunfight, and well, he comes out on top of this one, and that's the difference maker for FaZe.
And it's incredible how consistent he is at doing just that, at finding that first blood. And actually escaping with his life. So often you see your first blood and that just gets traded and you say, well, was it really that influential? Well, in aBeZy's case, yes, it normally is that influential.
Tattoo on his back, first blood or first blooded. Live or die by that motto, but you can see FaZe now just waiting for Minnesota to make a mistake, but it's aBeZy. Mistakes were made by him, evens up the odds at 4v4, and Silly trades out his own life.
And here's the problem. You find yourself in a 3v4 if you're Atlanta FaZe, and bear in mind, Simp does have a sniper rifle, so really relying heavily on a pick, and if Cellium can get bomb down, sure, maybe then you have yourself a great position. But for Minnesota Røkkr, it's about being disciplined, using any utility you have left to try and check bomb. At this point, you know it's not going to be A, it almost has to be B. Will they get lucky timing, though? Or can Cellium try and win this round just by getting the bomb down? Well, the bomb is planted, the trade isn't going to come through immediately, or is it? Cellium, I don't know how you just avoided that. But a skip and a jump, and he shuts down Asim. GodRx with the trade. 2v2, the nade is only good for a hit marker. Bear in mind, that is Simp. So he has to find this kill quickly with just 25 seconds on the clock. He pushes forward. He does shut him down. It's a 2v1, and Simp's completely moved spot. This is not where you would expect him to be with a sniper rifle. The problem is he doesn't have full bomb check. Now he's been spotted with 15 seconds. All GodRx needs is his teammate to push forward. It's silly. Just distract him long enough. That's all you have to do. Winning the gunfight helps. Minnesota Røkkr take the lead, 3-2.
Asim needs to make sure he fist bumps all his teammates after that one. You got to finish your gunfights, but the clutch is there. After the fact, Silly coming up big once again. What a massive round from him, by the way.
Huge round from him.
Trades out aBeZy on the first blood, gets the next kill as well, stays alive long enough to go hunt down Major Maniac. Player needed to step up map 1, it was Silly. Map number 2, still in world champion form.
7-4, GodRx 7-3, and the problem Simp had last round, of course, is when you have the sniper rifle, it's so obvious that you're going to be top warehouse post-plant, and that's exactly what Minnesota thought. Unfortunately for him, didn't have a good enough shot on the bomb, planted for the wrong side, so he had to try and make the miracle play. Either way, we find ourselves round 6. Minnesota Røkkr back on the attack.
aBeZy and Silly, shoulder to shoulder. On the other side of this wall, that's Alex, excuse me. Whatever sub it's going to be, it's all first blood, and there you go. aBeZy tries to make it as fast as possible. Alex, though, just drops him.
And at this point, if you're Minnesota, you want to try and push through, but you have to make sure you don't just needlessly give away your lives. GodRx and Asim both fall. So from a 5v3, blink of an eye, 3v3.
So many players kind of behind enemy lines. Simp is able to find 1 kill. Priest is going to get dropped on the other side of the map. Simp with the sub, though, able to find the next. Alex all of a sudden, by himself, he's got to get to work.
And the problem he has as well is Bomb is down in not really the best of spots over towards B. Atlanta FaZe will know about it. He'll spot Cellium, and I think he spotted Simp as well. Now he has a nade to work with here. This is not an easy spot to be in, though. He needs to at least tag up Cellium, and that nade's going to have any chance. 20 seconds and a dream here for Alex, but finding the AR may be very helpful here. Cellium expects the challenge on the outside. He does. And that's a round where I think Minnesota Røkkr will watch that back and they will be kicking themselves. A 5v3 lost.
Yeah, I don't know what those players saw around crates to make that move. You get a kill mid-map, you need a kill on the flip side. All you have to do is let those players wrap back and come help you out before you start making your move crates. Like, if you have a 5 versus 3, stop taking 1v1 gunfights.
There's no need. No need whatsoever. You're playing 50-50 fights at that point when you have such a big man advantage. You have so much time left in the round as well. It wasn't as if you were pressed on the clock. Still over a minute to go. But again, Atlanta FaZe tie things up 3-3.
Atlanta FaZe forgetting about the bomb. Priest remembers eventually, goes and picks it up, but that is a bit of time wasted in Minnesota. This is a ton of players working the flank, and it's the bomb carrier that's job is to watch it, and aBeZy again gets left out to dry. He should have gotten that call out from Priesta. Got to be a little bit quicker.
And that's twice that same play has been made by Minnesota, and it's twice it has cost aBeZy his life. 4v4, however. And it is Atlanta FaZe, of course, on the attacking side this round. They will need to try and plant the bomb, and Simp gets some lucky timing there. Silly will fall. Big advantage for Atlanta FaZe.
Getting information inside of green. Check all the cracks, push through if you need to, or just try to get this bomb down. Priesta gonna be hopping it. You got Simp above you. You're feeling great.
Simp is absolutely huge in this position, because if you can find one, you're essentially solidifying the round. For Minnesota Røkkr, this is a very tough retake. You have to deal with Simp, of course. You have all the angles watched. You have the flank watched as well. Alex now should know Simp's actually up here. If he's quick, he may actually get the drop here on Simp. Simp centering isn't going to be up top. It's going to be down low as the push comes through, but it doesn't matter. He's so quick. He snaps on towards Alex. No one on the bomb. As now the rotation comes through, GodRx does find the pick. Assault and GodRx for the 2v2. Major Maniac and Celium still alive.
Celium did give his position away, but just look at the time on the clock, and you see GodRx is going to fall. Assault, nothing he can do. FaZe can just dance and play with him and shut him down. The game plan right now for Minnesota is clear. You know aBeZy is going to be playing inside that room. You go on the flank, you take him down. They've done it a couple times, but unfortunately, even with the man disadvantage, you let the bomb get planted. It's just impossible after that.
The funniest part of that whole round, if Priesta doesn't forget to pick up the bomb, he probably doesn't find that first blood, and then maybe Minnesota have the numbers advantage when they flank aBeZy. Either way, doesn't matter. Priesta gets the first blood, all the kills traded out. Atlanta FaZe with the one-round advantage.
One-round advantage in Minnesota required to get the bounce back. aBeZy, he's died from this sort of flank before. He's thinking about getting revenge in the same way, but again, just around vents room, aBeZy tries to be king.
But even if you can just force aBeZy to slow down his pace, right? Slow down that tempo. Don't allow him to get those first bloods. You're essentially nullifying the effect he had previously on this map.
aBeZy reposition. You see Silly was able to get that first blood. Silly again playing like a monster. aBeZy, he just wants to get this timing right to get through vent room, and now he's making his move. The timing is great on Alex, and he shuts him down.
That was scary, and the instant trade comes through from Asim. Bomb, of course, has been planted now, a 4 versus 3. The man advantage for Minnesota Røkkr with, of course, bomb down. Silly tagging up one, couldn't secure the kill. And it's going to be Simp as he drops down towards water. Elsewhere on the map, though, Major Maniac has found the pick on towards GodRx. Time is ticking. 20 seconds for that bomb to be defused, and I'm not sure how Assault just got outgunned there, but it happened either way. Asim with the nade finds the kill. The smoke was a distraction if nothing else, but with 10 seconds, surely there's nothing Major Maniac can do.
Nothing he can do, and food for fodder. Wins the gunfight, which is nice for some confidence. But the round was over 15 seconds before that. Asim making the big play with that nade. And if he didn't get a shot in that play with the MP5, you might have been able to survive it.
Sure.
And then that would have been a very tough spot, because all the ARs that were on Forest, FaZe dealt with those. It was the subs that were on green and vent room that caused the problem.
And also at that point, the smoke makes you panic. It makes you almost need to check bomb, where it would have been such a horrible spot, almost definitely would have died.
And so much of this map has just been dictated around like vents control, right? Whether who gets the first blood, who's able to stabilize inside, and again, right now that's aBeZy's responsibility, but this is a hard read coming from Minnesota. This is a 5-stack towards B.
First blood from Simp.
And you got Priest on the flank. You got the 5-stack of B. Priest is wasting no time. That just means, well, Simp, he can kill everybody, or he can just wait for Priest to come get some free kills. Free kills, thy name is GodRx is gonna fall. Priest gets 2 as well. The hard read by Minnesota.
Didn't work out that well.
Priestess says thank you very much, and think about how perfect of a call that is. Minnesota at times has sent, what, 3-4 players through tracks?
Yeah.
They've seen Priestess play back rails so many rounds, they're thinking, no way he's going to full flank this time, because we've seen him do it in the past. Priestess knows. He's like, it's been too many times that BZ has fallen. I'm going to play this aggressive, sees nothing, and says, this is my time. Starts rubbing his hands together, knows the round is his.
Advantage Atlanta FaZe, 5-4 up. Simp leading the charge at 11-6. Pressure on Minnesota to try and force a round 11. And Simp's pulled out the sniper. You don't want to peek bottom green, Minnesota, because that's going to be a free kill for Simp.
Alex, though, with the nade again. First blood at BZ, living up to his name. Bomb is going to get planted. Priest is going on the full flank, but you see the positioning for Minnesota. I mean, Assault is in the back corner of the map.
You have to play post-plant positioning very well. There's a flank going to come through a little bit later on. Priest shuts down Silly. That may cause some concern here as Celium also shuts down a C. Minnesota Røkkr, have you gone and thrown this round away? Assault and GodRx, the only two up. It's now a 2v4 with 25 seconds on the clock. Of course, Atlanta FaZe wanting to defuse this bomb, but the flank comes through at the end. Now it's Assault for the 1v3. He finds two. He's in a great spot, but with 18 seconds left and no dead silence, bear that in mind. He's going to have to rely heavily on finding this next kill to his right-hand side, or can he find Simp through the smoke as he pokes up? He's not going to do it! Celium forces the fight. Bomb defused. Atlanta FaZe steal game 2 away. And the series now tied up 1 map apiece.
We've heard Glacier talk about it a few times. FaZe is a team you cannot afford to make mistakes against, or they will just outright beat you. Minnesota, there was 2 rounds in that game that they will desperately want back, including the final one. They put themselves in a great spot, and then you just got guys like Celium winning gunfights. Some players just have no right to.
Assault so close. You almost feel if he saved his nade for when he hopped up box, maybe just a second later, it could have helped, but really doesn't matter towards the end. There's a glance at your stats. It was Simp 11-6, Celium 11-5, but take nothing away from Priest's big performance at 10-8. 1 massive round from him, and as we pointed out for a BZ, it was basically either you're going to get first blood or you're going to get first blooded. But what a series we have on our hands. We knew it was going to be close, and so far it hasn't disappointed. Minnesota Røkkr, Atlanta FaZe, series tied 1-1. We'll be back after this.
the United States Air Force. Learn more at airforce.com.
PlayStation 4, the official platform partner of the Call of Duty League. Grubhub, restaurants you love, delivered.
Atlanta is the terrifying roster of Simp, Abizi, Celium, Priest, and Major Maniac.
These guys are incredible to watch. It's the most fun I've had just watching a team dismantle and obliterate the competition in a long time.
Atlanta have turned this game 3 completely around.
One of the favorite things I heard from the start of the year was Scum saying when we play against FaZe, it's like there's 6 men on the map. They're that fast, they're that in your face.
These guys are the most perfectly controlled chaos.
Atlanta FaZe starting to rip their way across the map.
For me, Simp is the best Call of Duty player that walks on this earth right now. And he's only really been competing for about a year, and he's already kind of won it all.
It's hard not to see Simp as the MVP. But for me, I want to give it to Major Maniac because the glue that holds that entire roster together. He may not have the most engagements, but without that man on the map, that team don't win.
Opens this one up real fast. He finds 2. That's ridiculous work from FaZe.
Any one of those 5 players at any moment in the game can turn it on and ruin your day.
It's not just that they're skilled, they're better than everyone. They understand the game better than everyone too.
It's almost comical. You're watching these guys and you're laughing and you're thinking, how do they do it?
It could be another crazy game! You're absolutely flawless.
You can listen to Momo then.
That was a look at your Atlanta FaZe team profile presented by PlayStation 4. Of course, Jensia, you had nothing but good things to say about the Atlanta FaZe.
I would love to find bad things to say about Atlanta FaZe. I'm not there yet. Even when you look at their coaching staff, I'm like, nope, it's great there too. You look at the assistant coach, I'm like, damn, so good there. It's just all over the place, Ben. Nothing but great things to say. High talent, high skill cap, great teamwork. They work hard. They're the whole package, man.
I want to take a look at our U.S. Army tactical play from Game 2. And it has to be Celium. What a performance right at the very end. You need someone to step up and find the gunfights and win the gunfights, more importantly, with just 14 seconds left. Simp, of course, has to defuse the bomb. Celium knows the only priority here is to distract assault or gun assault, and he does the latter.
And I think Celium at the end knew, too. He was pre-aiming like the hop-up, and he sees the bullets coming through, and he's like, wait a minute, can he shoot him from down low? Which, no, Assault cannot do that, so Celium is so next level. He knows where to look before the enemy does.
Smart guy, nice little bunny hop as well, but series tied, 1 met apiece. Minnesota Røkkr took the hard point, and Atlanta FaZe take the search and destroy. Now we head over to a Game 3, a domination Hackney Yard.
I'm going to ignore the Hackney Yard for a second and just talk about that flank from Priest we saw in Search and Destroy. Sure. We've seen him make that flank against Minnesota so many times. So Minnesota, the entire game, just sits there and floods through tracks. The one round they don't do that, Priest immediately makes the read, goes on the full flank once again, and that's just deflating on the other side. Like, I mean, you prepare for that play for so long, the only round you allow it to happen is the round that Priesta picks. It's just stuff like that.
And it's worth mentioning, after round number 1, Priesta didn't try and do it again until it worked the round he actually did it later in the game. So some good discipline from him, understanding on exactly how Minnesota were playing that map. But again, series tied, 1-1. Now, Game 3 done.
And you want to beat the best, or you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. This is Minnesota's opportunity to try to stake their claim. Off the rip, though, Celium, the former MVP, wasting no time for the first blood. And then it seems like, hey, I'll take the double kill. Thank you very much.
Oh, both teams going to cap up our home flag. Now the test over towards B can continue. BZ will be there. Some assistance is going to be needed, though, as Alex finds himself a double. Priesta can feel the pressure on the flank coming through, and he knows Alex is going to be up there. Unfortunately for him, though, not going to find the kill just yet.
Now just doing a fantastic job of staying alive. Priesta knows he can't hop the flag, so he just wants to find a couple kills. So he's actually flying through, and he's got Celium on the help, and now he realizes Celium got enough kills that you got clearance. They have now flipped the spawns, take control of A, and they did enough damage over by C that Minnesota's forced to go to back, but Simp wants it. So many teams don't fight for C. Simp is about that life. Is gonna get the kill. They're trying to run it up, Ben.
Oh, this is a beautiful start. Yes, they concede B, but you expect that pinch to come through and collapse in on Minnesota's one remaining flag. BZ there with teammates. B should be neutral. They'll have to trade C for that, but they're more than happy to do so. In actual fact, Simp wants to challenge C again. Simp is not giving Minnesota Røkkr anything at all for free.
I mean, again, Simp's about that life, but of course now you can see the spawns have now reflipped back to Minnesota, who were able to stabilize a little bit. They got a couple bodies inside the B flag area. They got enough pressure over towards A. This is the setup Minnesota wants to have.
It's Atlanta FaZe with just a 2-point lead, 17-15. Want to send it now to an Astro Gaming listening with Atlanta FaZe.
Middle, dead. Nice.
P1 dead.
Their door.
Backside dead. One more.
Stack that shit. They're doming. Hit him. Tap it.
Back right A.
I'm spawning green. I'm hitting left.
Third door. One top A on me. Top A, dead. One more top A.
Top A, Alex. That's fine.
Yeah, you should push out A and help him.
Push out A, guys.
I'm holding B.
Spawn green.
I'm breaking that.
It was silly. It was Alex A, guys.
B dead.
He's back A.
One's on me, B.
Nice. We're looking for Alex bottom. Oh my god.
I have your yellow cost right now. They can go green.
Yeah, bottom bell. He got B. Justin to B.
Flash green.
There's only one in so far. They're gonna go B.
Top green, absolute.
Hold right.
Oh, our door silly.
Justin one's AC.
AC in top green.
Top green, weak.
About that, one more just dead.
Nice,
Top green.
Nice,
Bottom,
Five.
Fucking shit.
Hard block. Remember, we're on bad sides.
Chance, an incredibly close game, and you have to look at Assault's start 0-7. Despite that, they had a tied game pretty much the entirety of the first 3 minutes.
It would be nice, though, for Assault if he could start heating up just a little bit, because FaZe, again, this is the most stabilized they've ever been, but Priest is going to fall from up top. Top L control has been gifted over towards Minnesota, and even then, FaZe wrapping back, just trying to make sure they stay on the right side of the map. So far, so good.
The one thing FaZe has been so good at, though, is just applying pressure all over the map. You were just kind of joking about it, but so many flips of the spawn in just the first couple of minutes alone. Every time Simp had license to push, he went for it, and now Minnesota Røkkr may do just that. It's going to be down to Alex to make the quick read that a couple of players are in front of him, and if he can find those kills, then put pressure over towards A, because FaZe up spawn, it's Major Maniac. He's managed to neutralize C, and he's actually staying to go for the cap as well.
And FaZe is one of the only teams to actually do this, to go for the C flag and try to be annoying like that, and that just chips away at the lead that, well, Minnesota doesn't even have.
And Alex had to be so much quicker in that situation. As soon as he recognized that there was pressure at C, he had to try and get some pressure over towards A. Finally, it comes from Asim. There's a fight going on over towards C, which is actually won by Minnesota Røkkr. That was silly that shut down a BZ. B is still held by Minnesota, a trip cap momentarily. That's going to reduce the lead Atlanta FaZe had, and, well, depending on how long they can hold it, Chance, could give Minnesota the advantage going into the second half.
Alex up top, he's the man trying to hold this B flag. He doesn't have a ton of teammate support. Asim is the last man there with the M4. Doesn't last very long. GodRx falls in short order, and again, FaZe have surged through to get to this B flag.
And look at the difference. This time when Minnesota spawn on the top side, they don't push forward towards C. Instead, they want to just collapse in over towards B. Yes, they have a 1-point lead. Silly soars in like an eagle. He shuts down Priest. Alex is there to support. Silly wants some of the action as well. And the 25 seconds that remain, we'll see Minnesota Røkkr take the advantage going into the second half.
An incredibly close half at that. If the Røkkr can get either the C or B flag, because they have another man, GodRx, potentially fighting over at C, while Alex is responsible for getting kills. Only 2 more ticks left to go through. And it's looking like, again, the game is going to be about as close as you could ask for. Like every single map so far they've played has been.
And it was interesting. At the start of the year, after the first couple of events we saw Atlanta FaZe play, everyone kind of looked at Domination and said, that's going to be the weakness, right? And maybe people jumped the gun a little bit. Yes, they lost one, I think it was against New York. And everyone looked at it and said, yeah, that's going to be their weakness. That's going to be their weakness. But they're showing you here that, yes, you can push C. Simp is doing it time and time again. So many teams just avoid it. They just don't want any of it. Whereas Simp says, no, I'm just going to keep putting pressure. I'm going to force you to win that gunfight. I'm not giving you a thing for free.
And in fairness, Røkkr has actually done a great job of doing roughly the exact same thing as well. Like, one of my favorite kills so far to this map was actually a nade that GodRx got on Selling when he was trying to overextend over by a smokestack. They're just making the reads. Like, GodRx is putting pressure on the B flag, chucking nades where he knows FaZe wants to be, and just doing insane stuff throughout the map.
Now, though, Minnesota will start on the unpreferred side. And the lead, which they were able to have, it was only small, around about 7 points at the half. That will diminish very, very quickly. But you need to see Minnesota put pressure in towards B, maybe even just fly over towards A if you can.
Silly's doing his best job that he can, but again, FaZe, all that pressure they've kept in the back. The ARs on point, Selman, Major Maniac having themselves a nice little game, but Asim trying to respond in kind, but this is just a lot of time that FaZe has been able to get with that 2-flag cap.
You are Minnesota Røkkr, though. You do have a lot of time at your disposal. 4 minutes 15, of course, and 45 seconds gone in this second half. It's a 2-point lead for Atlanta. Assault's going to have to try and win at least one gunfight here over towards B. Little does he know, Simp's top window. He finds the first as he slides across. He gets the information he needs. Almost managed to get it neutral. Picks up the sub instead. He should find... Whoa! Okay. All right, never mind.
He's an M4 player. Of course, the guy that killed him likes to rock the MP5 all the time. Now Alex is doing everything he can with the pistol just to stay alive. You don't expect him to last very long in FaZe of wiped out once again. Asim is trying to find his way through. He gets cut down immediately.
And that's a perfect hold from Atlanta FaZe. The pressure was coming in at B, and they managed to hold out. And keep your eyes on the top side of that mini-map. There's one player there. It's going to be Priester. If he wants to push through and maybe put pressure on towards C, you have to be careful, though, because you do not want to give license for Minnesota to push the map, fly through, and decap A.
Got RX with 2 big kills. Now the mid-map is clearance for Minnesota to try to push through, but not for very long because Abizi has the gunny with the MP5 at long range.
And look at the difference between the first half and the second half here for Atlanta FaZe. They spawn on the unfavorable side in the first half. They make the map unbelievably messy. The second half, the first 2 minutes, has been incredible structure from them.
The largest lead I think we've seen in this game so far, about 16 points for the side of FaZe in Minnesota. It's starting to be enough time. Ticks off the clock. The pressure's going to be on it. Salt, though, turns on Celium. A nice opening kill, and now 3 players from Minnesota have gotten through to A.
The problem is, instantly the rotation to C comes through as well. It's going to be Simp. Of course it's going to be Simp. He'll neutral C. Doesn't want to stay in cap it, or does he? Well, he's going to backtrack, but have they left B too open? Silly tried to make the play unsuccessfully. At least step 1 has been done for Minnesota Røkkr, which is flip the map. Now, though, you're down 22 points with 2.5 minutes to go. You've got to speed up the pace just a little bit here, Chance.
They're still to the point where a 2-flag cap will be good enough, but they also are just so pushed back on their side of the map. They can't get any pressure towards this B flag in FaZe. Hyper aggressive. When you see those white skulls dying so close to the A flag, that means Minnesota having so many problems to get towards B, but this is it. Asim is going to be here with his teammate. Flying through for the M4, but he gets shut down.
You have to win the gunfights. It's all good and well getting a little bit of site control, but if you're not going to win the following fights, it really doesn't matter whatsoever. 2 minutes to go, 136-107, and Priester's being a menace on the map. As he makes his way over towards A, that will be a neutral, or at least they'll get close. In fact, no, he's going to get the whole thing. It forces Minnesota on the bad side. They'll spawn at C. But honestly, Chance, I know there's a lot of time left, but I kind of feel like this map's over.
The triple cap is going to be necessary from the side of Minnesota, but I don't even know how to begin to describe how you pull it off, because triple caps can be held on this map for maybe 10, 15 seconds at best, and they're going to need it for a lot longer than that. They got a lot of a swarm over towards B, but you can see FaZe, any of these players, anytime they spawn near that C flag, they have the option if they want to go overextend, neutralize the C flag. They could just defend B the entire time if they want, leave bodies wherever you want, pick up a kill here, pick up a kill there. FaZe will be good to go.
And honestly, you should use the rewind feature here on YouTube. Watch exactly how Atlanta FaZe played the first 2 minutes of this second side. When you spawn on the favorable side, that is exactly how you want to play it. The discipline from them was incredible, not allowing anyone to overextend, making sure they were set up perfectly at B. They gave Minnesota Røkkr absolutely nothing. And look at the effect it's had on this map. The lead now is massive. It's out of control. Map 3 is done and dusted. Atlanta FaZe will take the lead.
And the only thing I can think about now is just those 2 rounds that Minnesota had in Search and Destroy, where they just put themselves in such a good spot. And it's just, again, replaying in my mind when Clayster is saying, when you play against FaZe, you know, it's Call of Duty, you make small mistakes, but if you make 10, you're going to have to cut those in half against a team like FaZe just to have a chance.
And you have to look at that 5v3 round, right? When they're on attack, 2 players just give away their life. Instantly, it becomes a 3 versus 3. And again, guys, this game has been over for quite some time. To be frank, Atlanta FaZe will go 2-1 up in the series. Minnesota Røkkr really being pushed now, backs against the wall.
And really just full credit to FaZe across the board. They outslayed their opponent by a little bit, but not a massive margin, maybe 8-9 kills in total, but they translated that small slang advantage into a 50-point win.
And what's crazy is, think about how close the first half was. If you told me that was going to end a 50-point advantage either way, I'd be like, no, absolutely not. But Atlanta FaZe, again, flawless and perfect at the first couple of minutes in that second half. Minnesota Røkkr backs now against the wall.
And it's a little bit crazy in my mind as well. Like, that would be the map I would imagine wanting to play FaZe the least amount on. It would be terrifying on Hackney Yard, but statistically, not a terrible one to try to play on them. But there you can see the stats. Guerrillas, I mean, put up a bunch of kills, like, sure, fine, that's great, but you lose by 50. What kind of impact do those kills really have? And then across the board for FaZe, everyone just doing their job straight across the board. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Oh, BZ on the other side, 26 and 20. A great performance from him. And of course, yesterday, he happened to think very highly of himself and his teammates. I think he went as far as to say he was unbeatable, Chance.
And they are unbeatable so far.
Do you have weaknesses? Do you have something that you need to work on?
Not really. I mean, we're all just like, we're so good at like S&D, like that's our game mode, and no one can beat us at that right now. So, and even at respawn, we're just all getting kills at all times.
Well, there you hear it from BZ himself. He's just so talented.
If any other team answered the question, what do you need to work on? Nothing really.
Right.
I would be like, you are ridiculous, what a horrible mentality. But BZ's like, you're kind of right. Like, you're great. And he makes a great point. Like, already we're the point of this series where Minnesota is going to have to force the game 5 just to win. But against a team that is just so good, 8-1 in Search and Destroy, which admittedly, their one map loss is Piccadilly against Minnesota. But still, like, it's just so tough to beat FaZe in anything, let alone Search, and we've already saw that map too.
And let's not forget, we're going to another hard point where Minnesota Røkkr have already beaten Atlanta FaZe twice in this game mode. We head to a Ramaza, though.
I thought you meant on the map. I was like, not on this map.
Not on this map.
As a game mode, yes, absolutely. But again, it's still a team that is 10-2 in hard point. They're just incredibly difficult to beat. The Røkkr, though, I mean, the focus here is the bounce back. They've known that FaZe was the team to beat since the last time they played them, since day number 1 effectively on this game. This is what you've been preparing for Minnesota for the past few weeks. How do we take this FaZe team down? And Ramaza is an interesting map because right now FaZe, oh no.
Oh,
we don't know what they look like.
Not too sure what we're going to get out of Atlanta FaZe on this map, but for me, this is now where Minnesota Røkkr need to stay composed. Of course, last time these two teams played, Minnesota went up 2-0. Reverse sweep occurred. Atlanta FaZe took the series 3-2. This time, it's a little different. It's back and forth, but Minnesota find themselves down 2-1. You would love to see them stay cool, calm, and collected, and force a game 5.
And of course, as mentioned, the FaZe 0-0 on this map. We do not know what we are going to get, but we expect great things.
Of course.
The flip side, of course, though, for the Røkkr, 1-0. So not a massive amount of LAN experience, but of course, they scrim each other all the time. These coaches, they prepared for this moment.
Oh, yeah. The coaching staff on both these two teams is honestly elite. Exquisite. Yeah, elite. Really, really fantastic staff and supporting staff to have behind your starting roster. As Minnesota start off favorable side. And they try and get some hill control, though. As of right now, no is the answer. Silly, he loves top construction, and he loves losing that fight as well.
I was about to say, that's a gunfight he's going to need to win as well, because that is going to translate to a ton of points for FaZe. Now you got Priest picking up double kills in FaZe. All the pressure in the world. The final hard point, I mean, 30 seconds. I was going to say they're poised to get it. Priest, though, trying to punch people from 10 feet away. Not the best start.
Not the best by any means, but still 20 seconds to go. You would love to see Minnesota try and apply some pressure, but at this point, I don't think they can. And the problem now, they are spawning so far out.
Yeah, Silly's just going to have quite the hike to get to the new hill. Already, FaZe has put enough pressure on the backside of the map that Minnesota shouldn't really be spawning too close. We can check where they respawn. Silly will be the next one off, but now Priest is just surging forward with the MP5. He can go through the side door while his teammate hit the back.
It's a little bit of an awkward spot to be in here if you're Minnesota because you don't really have the backside control. But if you can hold from the front for at least 20 seconds, at that point, realistically, you're fine. You don't even want the back spawn. BZ thinking about maybe pushing through the side door. Guerrillas is there. That's not the greatest nade I've ever seen in my life. And unfortunately, his teammate's not going to be able to push through just yet. Finally, I think Minnesota are going to have the back spawns, but is it a little too late now, Chance?
I was about to say eventually perfectly pinched, but then Minnesota end up getting the back spawns because Simp comes forward, but now BZ again just flies through. Sometimes the pinches don't work. Just get in as quick as possible and shred with the MP5. But you see Minnesota, at least for the moment, doing their best job to stabilize the BZ. The next man at the chopping block, he's going to fall, and Minnesota should be able to retake the lead.
Oh, shot the hell out of that trophy system. Didn't hit much else when he pushed the hill. Minnesota Røkkr will claim the final 10 seconds of scrap time. That's going to give them a very small lead. But as you can see on that minimap, the rotation fight already on, and it's Simp at the back of the map, ready and waiting for any of Minnesota Røkkr to push through. Abeezy's there, of course, to support. Atlanta FaZe will earn themselves a pretty sizable lead here, I think.
Yeah, Simp is doing a consistent job of just holding down these spawns for this team. Minnesota so far away. They got one player working his way through tunnel. He gets taken care of. It's a 15-second hike before they can contest this hill. There's no one even close.
And look how far pushed Atlanta FaZe wanted to be. They had a player in carpets, they had a player bottom cafe, they had a player bottom arches as well. They really wanted to try and take that fight to Minnesota Røkkr, and because of that, they've earned themselves a free 30 seconds.
I mean, one player from Minnesota now make actually quite a few have gotten their way towards the hill, but they weren't winning the gunfights on the way. Now that they're here, what happens when you try to get inside the door? It looks like they might have done just enough for a couple seconds to contest. Priest is going to fall in short order, but FaZe, again, just spawning in the back, eventually should be able to overwhelm the Røkkr. But maybe job done. You chewed away at a couple seconds off the clock, but FaZe happy with the 40-point lead.
And at this point, if you're Minnesota Røkkr, you want to stop pushing because you do not want to be spawning that far out. Keep your eyes on the bottom of your minimap, though. Number 6, that's going to be Major Maniac. As he pushes over towards P2, he's going to try and have a big flank towards top construction. And I'm not sure if Minnesota Røkkr are going to sniff this out. There's one player looking at it. It's going to be GodRx. I'm pretty sure Major Maniac actually saw that himself, and his teammates have been allowed to cross mid-map. This is horrible here for Minnesota Røkkr.
Well, GodRx was able to get at least one kill on the cross, but now FaZe again, they've worked through the back. Major Maniac is here. Gunfight inside the hill. Gotta get the door, and he's gonna be able to maybe do just that. Alex, though, was able to drop him, but FaZe, because they got the spawns, should be able to get enough pressure to retake the hill.
And again, look at how far out Minnesota Røkkr are spawning. Asim at 5 and 12 has spawned on the old hill, and the problem for him with 24 seconds, he's thinking about pushing through, but look what's happened. Priestess snuck right behind him, ready for the new hill to pop.
And I was going to say, this is actually a beautiful hold by the Røkkr just because of how many players are already fighting for the rotation. So really nice job by them to deal with trying to get that scrap time. And keep in mind, Silly is on a forward spree while he's holding the hill. Priesta on the flip side of the map, though, is going to get dropped. And GodRx wins a big gunfighting corner.
And honestly, at this point, credit to Minnesota Røkkr for keeping this as close as it is. 105 to 96. It's going to be Atlanta FaZe with early control of the hill, but that's a big gunfight that needed to be won by Priesta. He's going to hold the hill. Trophy can go down, but instantly Silly flies straight at him. That's 2 for him as Minnesota Røkkr again knocking on the front door of the hill. They'll retake control.
Minnesota right now, ton of pressure as well. You got players getting the cutoff kills at mid-map, and the smokes are going to allow you to contest for a second or just fly through and try to win the gunfights. But you got Silly and Assault, the world champ duo, on the tunnel, Hetty, ready for the kills.
And I want to point out, Major Maniac again rotated so early, around about 35 seconds. He made his way through the carpets just to say, well, in case my teammates lose this fight, I'm going to make sure we have construction side of the map. That's what you're going to want going into the second rotation of hills.
What a massive gunfight by the player Labeezy inside the hill right now, trying to chip away at a time. He's actually able to just pick up 3 by himself. He just stripped away 20 seconds of that. Well, not even scrap time. Great time Minnesota was going to get, and he gives it to his own team. Plays like that win you the game.
There's another key fight going on the new hill. Number 2, it's going to be Alex. I see him trying to hunt down 1 as well. So far, Atlanta FaZe inside the hill. The fight for spawns can wait for now because Minnesota Røkkr trying to push into the hill. They find themselves down around about 20 points. I want to send it over to an Astro Gaming listening with the Minnesota Røkkr.
Got me, naded me. Inside of Røkkr, inside of Røkkr, inside of Røkkr.
Røkkr dead, one shot. Hill, shot me. Røkkr dead, one top 3 cell. One shot, he's still top 3. One shot, hill. Top 3, last one cell.
Go get him,
I spot Røkkr, get top mid. It's a huge 30, guys, huge 30.
C2, I've got C.
Top mid, one shot.
Dead.
Good time.
Back plant, Major.
I got time, you can go across.
Major weak. Is that back plant?
I'm going top 3, give me a sec. He's up there, top 3, Major.
Oh, he's T1. There's 2 free.
Big step side. Top 3. Damn, get kind of Israel.
C2. Could be hammer.
Top 3, 1 shot, 1 in hill, 1 C2.
He's pushing your left side, hill.
I got mid ult. There's 3-0.
Minnesota Røkkr fighting for every last second they can get. They find themselves down just 7, but you need increased input out of Asim, currently double negative, 10 and 21. If he can turn things around in this final rotation, maybe, just maybe, Minnesota Røkkr can force a game 5.
And this is a big hill for the Røkkr. This hill they've had the most success on in this game. It looks like they're able to hold through the first push right away.
But number 6, he's managed to sneak through construction. There's a big gunfight, and it's Silly again that wins it. He actually finds 2. Simp and Priesta both fall. Good job from him. Meanwhile, Minnesota Røkkr milking this hill. 27 seconds left. Finally, a push is going to come through. Is it too late? I think it is. Atlanta FaZe, you're going to have to rotate here.
And it seems like so many of these hardpoint maps, the Røkkr just have one hill that they just dominate the other team on. Again, this B2 hill, they've gotten what, effectively, not 2 full 60s because of contest time, but this is where they've had the most success. They're going to have a 50-point lead going into new.
And this time on rotation, Alex actually knows as a player Carpet. That was the problem in the first rotation of hills, and that player has fallen. It was Simp. That's going to open up this left side lane to allow Minnesota Røkkr to push through. But as things stand, as we head to Barbershop, it's Atlanta FaZe inside the hill.
Silly, again, just playing like a monster this entire series. He is 24-15, Ben, playing again at that world champ form.
Man on a mission. It's almost deja vu-like situation we find ourselves in as Alex shuts down Priesta. The front door is open, but you're not even going to be able to get close. Atlanta FaZe still going to spawn there, and Minnesota Røkkr are going to have to realize at some point pushing this is going to be a disadvantage. You do not want to spawn out because look what happens. Atlanta FaZe, they're spawning good for new.
Spawning good for new, but still 20 seconds of time. You gotta win the gunfights, though, when GodRx is gonna shut him down. Abizi is always so clutch. And again, that is a gunfight right there that gives them the 20 seconds to scrap.
And now you have to win these gunfights on rotation if you're Minnesota Røkkr. And Priesta sitting deep at the back of the map. You're gonna have to hunt him down. If you didn't know he was there, you do now. Assault falls from the back. And Atlanta FaZe should be good for spawn control. Yes, they'll lose the early time, but this now a question, how quickly can they set up the pinch? And the pinch is going to come in the form of Simp. They have no idea he's here. Simp could be the playmaker, or do they? Apparently so. Silly gets the drop, and Priest all at the back of the map by himself. He will drop. This is perfect for Minnesota Røkkr, but they need to keep the pressure on.
Abizi, though, trying to be the front man, but he's going to fall. The Røkkr on construction, able to hold on in FaZe right now. They are flying through the middle of the map, just trying to find a way to at least contest.
Minnesota could win it here if they can force Atlanta FaZe out of the hill quick enough. I think that tick would go, but it doesn't matter. Atlanta FaZe inside the hill. Minnesota Røkkr, they're probably going to contest one final time. Look at the other side of the map, though. The rotation, it's basically a 3v3, but it's a split 3v3. Abizi should find one. He does. That's a seam that falls. Meanwhile, Celium ready for the further push to come. We have a tied game, basically, as we rotate to what could very well be the final hill of the game.
And this is another hill the Røkkr were on point on last time around. Celium right now. Look at the map. He is completely by himself. Alex is getting cut-off kills over by gun. Celium at some point just has to make the move himself.
This is the 1v1. He could be the hero here for Atlanta FaZe. He shuts him down. He has no spawn control and realistically no support from his teammates. But Celium going to try and do it all. There's two. Dips and darts away. Goes for the repeat. There's number 3. Celium number 4. What an incredible play from him. Somehow still alive. Atlanta FaZe with hill control. The cavalry is there. And Celium, he's not done yet. Pushing through the smoke. The young rookie trying to make a play. Is it enough, though? Is it going to be enough? Minnesota Røkkr still in the hill. 237, 235. It's Abizi's turn to pop off.
Either team can win it here. 10 for FaZe, 14 for Minnesota, but now it's just FaZe that can get it, and they're in the hill, Ben.
But in comes the contest. Abizi with 1. I don't think you're going to be able to win. It's a rotation fight. It's going to be a rotation fight, and it's going to be Minnesota Røkkr that are there first. Atlanta FaZe, you have 15 seconds to try and break through. Celium up top. He's going to throw 1 carpet. Is he going to win the fight? I don't think he's going to be able to do so. 8 seconds. You're going to go. You're going to go if you're Atlanta. Celium shut down. Minnesota Røkkr. Tied game. GodRx push it out. They take it, or do they? Or do they? They do. They do. Minnesota Røkkr, for the second time in a row, take Atlanta FaZe to a game 5.
Before this series started, Atlanta FaZe were 10-1 in a hard point, and Minnesota Røkkr, with their back against the wall in the game number 4, beat them again in the respawn. It was a game 5 the last 2 times this team played, and we will get a game 5 once again.
And I want to point out the play Celium made towards the end. Incredible. One of the biggest critiques about him and his game has been making the big plays when his team needs him the most. Yes, they don't win the map, but I'll hold my hands up. I was one of those critics. That was a sign of a very, very comfortable and, to be honest, experienced-looking player to make that play in that situation. Absolutely incredible, but it doesn't matter. Minnesota Røkkr take the game 4. They are sending Atlanta FaZe to a game 5 once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our second semi-final of the day. Dallas Empire booked their ticket into the final earlier on with a 3-1 victory over OGLA. Minnesota Røkkr, Atlanta FaZe. Second time in a row, we're going the distance, Chance. We're going game 5.
In the brief storyline right now for these two teams, FaZe, clear-cut best team in the game. I don't know if anyone's going to argue that other than right now the Minnesota Røkkr. A couple teams will say their piece, but FaZe right now, undefeated. Right now, this is their second game 5. They're 1-0 in this game mode, but the storyline for the Minnesota Røkkr, at the start of the year, right, everyone was kind of overlooking and being like, yeah, the team's like okay, but like whatever. And then they come out of the gates and look like a top 4. At this point, the last thing this team has to prove is that they can win at shit. Yep. That is the last thing on their list. And again, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And right now, FaZe is exactly that. It is deja vu of a game 5, and it is a Piccadilly search and destroy that we're going to. That is the only map loss FaZe have, and it was at the hands of the Røkkr.
But the way Minnesota have found themselves into this game 5, completely different. Last time they went 2-0 up before Atlanta FaZe won 3 straight. This time, Minnesota are going to get a ton of momentum out of that game 4. Winning a game as close as that is going to do wonders for your confidence. Speaking of which, when you look back at game 2, there was a few rounds that we specifically called out where it looked like Minnesota lost that confidence. That cannot happen. That cannot happen in a game 5.
And I'll tell you, this is one of those moments before this map 5, where whatever your coach is on your team, this is when you have to have your best motivational speech.
Oh, yes, you
have to have everything on point to get your team in the right mindset. Like, if the Røkkr isn't a team that plays well in the hype, if you don't have to give them that kind of speech, you need to be keeping them calm and collected and be like, guys, we had them in that gun runner. Here was the few small mistakes we made. When we get these advantages on Piccadilly, we need to play it the same way we played it last time. Everybody take a breath. And then if you're Crowder, be like, hey, yo, look at the guy to your left. Look at the guy to your right. We're fine. We've been here before. Just do your thing. We live for this.
And importantly, if you're Brian Saint, coach of Minnesota Røkkr, I think you have to emphasize, we have beaten this team already on this map. Do not undersell your ability at going into this game 5.
And in my mind, you got to talk about the sniper battle.
Yes,
not because it's not one of the most exciting things in Call of Duty, but GodRx was piecing them up last time they played, but then Simp, it was on this map. He set the record for most sniper kills in a single game, and he got 10 of them just with the boomstick, Ben. It is 2 juggernaut-style sniper players that are going to be going at it.
I would say GodRx, no stranger to a sniper rifle himself. I think he was 2 rounds in a game of Search earlier on, the one we casted. He had 5 sniper shots and I think it was 7 overall kills. But heading into this, a Piccadilly search and destroy again. To reiterate the story, Atlanta FaZe have only lost this once, and it was to Minnesota Røkkr.
And of course, for both of these teams, make sure your smoke grenades are on point.
Oh, yes. That is going to be a very, very important detail in this game, because if they're not, the sniper rifle players will find a pick, and that's a perfect example of 1 smoke grenade popping and blocking a line of sight. Either way, round number 1 here, it's going to be Minnesota Røkkr on the attack.
Abizi, though, already in a great spot, but he's going to get red. Silly watching the crosses fall.
How is he still alive?
Can't get the trade. Abizi alive for the moment.
Tell you what, he's going to take all the time he needs to fully regen. And Priesta is going to find the first blood. Assault will fall. Advantage Atlanta.
That might just be one of those moments, and you might have Simp one of those kills, and he's going to connect with it. Man advantage 2 in favor of FaZe.
Meanwhile, it's a scene looking to try and trade out at least 1. Problem is, they should know that that's going to be Bomb. Alex is in a whole world of pain. Bomb goes down, and there's a big pick from GodRx. That's Priesta. That makes it a 3 versus 3, and they're going to have to deal with GodRx as well. As long as he can stay alive, be a nuisance, this is perfect.
And he knows it. He knows that he's just waiting for these players to cross and try to hunt him down. He's going to be able to hear him as well. Free kill on Abizi, but now he needs to support his team because Major Maniac played aggressive on the side.
He has to get there quickly because Selim and Major Maniac are collapsing in. Asim wins 1. It falls to Major Maniac. He's not going to get it. And Minnesota Røkkr, despite the 3v5 in round 1, take the round anyway.
And Asim is getting hype. You see him closest man to the camera. I'll just say it. He didn't do too well on that hard point, man. He went 19 and 31 for the win. You fist bump your teammates and you say, hey, I'll pick it up in the search and destroy. What does he do that round? Picks up 3 massive kills. You just open that up with a 3v5.
Fantastic way to start for Minnesota Røkkr, and credit again to GodRx, the experience he showed. He found the snipe and then stayed alive. Can he find anyone on the cross? The answer, no. Smokes out. Simple. I'm not sure how that missed. Well, Minnesota Røkkr can breathe a sigh of relief. Still 5v5.
That player felt the heat of the bullet as it passed by his back. But still 5 versus 5, and that bomb is not on site. It is in the hands of someone a little bit farther back, so control towards Zay, but not a ton of it. Silly, waiting for the pick.
And if you keep your eye on the minimap, the way Minnesota Røkkr defensively are set up at B is almost perfect. And if GodRx can find a snipe, which he can at A, this could be bad news for Atlanta FaZe, or maybe not. Simp with the counter snipe makes it a 4v4.
And Priest is going over towards Pillars, but him and Major Maniac, these are not easy gunfights to win. Asim just needs to stay alive, has the trophy system for the help. But Asim, it's only him and Alex together.
Oh, and that's a big fight to take. Asim actually helps peek. And that's going to leave Simp and Celium for the 2v4. We've seen this dynamic duo clutch situations just like this in the past. Can they do it again? 25 seconds. Celium's going to have to push through the smoke. He's tagged up. He falls. Simp 1 versus 4. 20 seconds on the clock. There's surely no way he's going to win this round. Minnesota Røkkr go 2-0 up in the game 5.
And Asim, it is only 2 rounds in. But right now, having an incredible game. I think he is 6-0 at the moment. We are looking at him find kills that it seems like he has no right to find. Not that final one on Simp. That one was free. But before that, in a tough spot, back against the Pillars, and he's 7-0
in 2 rounds.
It is Asim and GodRx versus the Atlanta FaZe.
This is basically, yeah, a 2v5 as things stand. A great start, and that is just unlucky. Hit marker for GodRx. Could have been a first blood, could have been a big advantage. Instead, for Minnesota Røkkr, they're going to look B.
Might have been a little bit of help that FaZe is going to need. Asim again has been on point around this B site.
He's spotting now. I don't think Celium's going to be able to repeat that. Asim looking to try and find the opening. First blood. Bear in mind, of course, he is going to be the bomb carrier here for Minnesota Røkkr. You don't want to push too far out. If you fall, you want to make sure that you're still in a position where your teammate can pick up the bomb. And in actual fact, I don't think they spotted him side. Or did they? Yes! Priesta finds the pick. First blood comes in.
Probably just died getting shot in the left foot. Celium has been staying down the entire time. He's not really giving GodRx anything to work with. And Abizi able to find another kill. Nade is enough to get it.
Wow, I thought Abizi was going to be out, but apparently not. Simp, though, with the sniper of his own. He finds Assault. Now it's GodRx and Alex, the 2 versus 4. 28 seconds on the clock. Celium still being a nuisance. Over towards B. You're going to have to deal with him if you're Minnesota Røkkr, and he has support as well. Simp does well just to stay alive. Alex will fall. GodRx 1v4, 14 seconds. Again, this is one of those. This round is over. Atlanta FaZe will win their first round here in the game 5.
Just about who gets that final kill, but the nice bounce back is important. You hate to see the hit marker if you're a Minnesota Røkkr fan, but FaZe, they will take what they can get. Nice bounce back round from them. And really, I think the most important kill, if not just the hit marker, it's Priesta managing to find Asim before he can get that bomb down. Again, in this game, when you get the bomb down, it is so difficult to bounce back.
Bit of a problem for Minnesota. Still the only 2 players with kills, Asim and GodRx. 7-1, 4-2. You need everybody else to step up, start contributing to the rounds. As Simp, no luck on the initial cross. Atlanta FaZe will fall for first blood. It's Priesta, and it's GodRx again with the sniper rifle.
That transition scared the hell out of me.
Me too.
GodRx with first blood. Abizi, though, is going to trade it out. Silly again. They know he plays up top.
Gotta be disciplined. That's a great smoke. A quick check of bomb, that's all you need. And one there. You can wait another few seconds before checking again. Did he see him cross? Oh, I don't think he did. Atlanta FaZe, bomb down. Big advantage this round.
The problem you can see Silly has, he doesn't know if anyone can hop up on him. So right now, bomb is planted, 4v4. And GodRx, it's nice to have a sniper, but now these are the spots it's tough to make something work. And Major Maniac able to get that opening pick. Celium with the follow-up. Now GodRx is going to have to do something crazy. Him and Silly to find a miracle out of the bag.
At this point, the round is basically over. You just love to see Silly find at least 1 kill. Get a little bit of confidence. Is he going to be able to even do that? It looks unlikely. Again, this round done and dusted. Atlanta FaZe tied up, but it's about confidence for me for Silly. Find a kill. Get off the donut. That's all you're going to have to do. And Atlanta FaZe are hunting him down. I don't think it's going to happen, Chance. It's not. It's not.
And Simp right now, shooting at ghosts, apparently. Sometimes it looks like they're just going straight through players, but 2 rounds for Røkkr. Atlanta FaZe say thank you very much, get 2 rounds of their own. And again, you know the strats are on point. aBeZy has one spot he can plant from, gets it down perfect.
4 rounds in, Chance. Alex, Assault, Silly, all 0-3. We talked about momentum. We talked about composure.
They got to pull out snipers, all 4 of them. Have 4 snipers on the map. Try to find the pick. Don't actually do that, kids. It's a bad idea.
Depends.
And right now, FaZe actually through the smoke have aggressive positioning. Might be able to make something happen, but you can see actually just going to back it down, not going to do anything crazy.
And you see aBeZy instantly backed away. He was afraid of maybe nade that caught his teammate out a few rounds ago, catching him out. Not going to be the case. Minnesota Røkkr, they've shown their intent once again, pushing over towards B. But you're still looking at the 3 teammates, Alex, Assault, and Silly, to try and find anything in this game 5. Just to give them a little bit of confidence moving forward.
And it might be a fairly similar strat. Just wait for you to get the trophy or the first blood. But Asim has done this before. Throw the trophy down, get the plant. Silly, though, got to get that first strike.
That's a great start. First blood comes through for Minnesota Røkkr.
And aBeZy, by the way, starting to run out of bullets. He had 20 left in just 1 clip, so he's got to be a little bit more conservative.
And keep your eye on the 1v1 that could happen at A. I believe that's going to be Assault versus Major Maniac. The 2 arrows at the bottom side as Silly finds his second pick this round. If that kill comes through, you can rotate this bomb straight to A if need be. A flurry of quick kills come through. No rotation will come through because the bomb goes down. Simp and Celium make that Simp for the 1v4. He falls. Minnesota Røkkr retake control of this game 5. 3-2.
And a very clean round coming out from Minnesota. Again, you see the idea. Nice and patient. Wait for your dead silence to pop up. Wait for the trophies to pop up. Make the move. And Alex just doing the dance. You can dance around if it's not a sniper rifle. You can get aBeZy waste bullets on the M4R you want. Both teams have done a pretty respectable job of dodging the sniper. GodRx, maybe it's been, what, maybe 2 rounds since he's found a pick. And Simp, 3-3, but not overly impactful.
It's also the threat, though, and having that in the back of your mind when you're going up against a player who's so good with the sniper rifle. You have to respect it. As GodRx shows you why. You peek for a split second and you fall. Assault shuts down aBeZy as well. Alex still looking for his first kill of the game, but it's currently a 4 versus 3. Advantage Minnesota, Atlanta FaZe on the attack.
Gotta make sure you do not throw away the 5 versus 3s. We've seen one in this game, and Alex, he knows it. Just trying to do his job, stay alive.
And as long as he holds this angle and watches for the cross towards B, he's in a great spot. He doesn't need to force an engagement unnecessarily. Silly's gonna shut down Priest there. Now it's Major Maniac and Celium left up. It's a 2v4 for Atlanta FaZe. If they don't clutch this up, Minnesota Røkkr are gonna have another 2-round cushion. They'll go up 4-2. And Celium looking to make the play. Dead silence is popped as he checks the back. Nobody home. And if he finds a kill quick enough, obviously his dead silence will refill. He's checking absolutely everything. There's Alex, and Alex gets his first pick. This round should be over. Major Maniac for the 1v4. Now a 1v3, shut in the side, round done. Minnesota Røkkr are 2 rounds away from sweet, sweet redemption.
And I'll tell you, that is a very bold call from Celium about dead silence in that situation.
In 2v4, yeah.
In 2v4, the bomb was down on the other side of the map. Yeah. They had no, like, in my mind, you have basically no hope of winning that round because not only is it a 2v4, you're never going to get the bomb, which means you're going to have to get all 4 kills. Even if you find 3, the last man is just going to hide and force you to plant, but when all is well that ends well, just 2 rounds for the Røkkr, 2 rounds to FaZe, 2 rounds back to the Røkkr.
We saw a 2-round advantage early. It was Minnesota Røkkr that led 2-0. Atlanta FaZe tied it up. 4th back, they're going to need to do the exact same thing here. As Minnesota go on the attack, and that's a great nade for first blood from Simp. Asim will fall. I don't think he's going to have much luck with that angle just yet. See if anyone from Minnesota wants to rotate towards mid-buses. Meanwhile, aBeZy looking for the pick.
And it's got to be GodRx, right? He's got to be the man to just look for the sniper pick if he's kept it out in the 4v5, how stationary Minnesota's been playing. You can see aBeZy not giving a tough angle for anybody to work with.
Silly has to be careful, and Silly actually wins that fight. GodRx almost connected with the shot on towards Priesta. But as he looks over towards the flank, I don't think anyone's going to be there just yet. You have time to rotate, and 1v1 would have to be forced as Major Maniac at the other side of the map, as Simp does fall. Silly finds the pick. Now advantage, Minnesota Røkkr. 4 versus 3. Alex looking to try and force the fight at the back. Celium. He's still alive as Alex creeping towards him. Bear in mind, there's 19 seconds. Minnesota, you got to speed this up a little bit. Silly will fall. The headshot comes through. The double kill from Priest, but the trade is in. Minnesota Røkkr, one more round.
Got RX.
What a
Living
shot.
up to his name. Celium was a thorn in their side in the back of the map. And they found a way. The last time these two teams played, Minnesota Røkkr beat him 6 rounds to 2. They are 1 round away, and that watch party gets their free drinks.
And this is, again, a game many people thought was going to be a simple one. Not the case whatsoever. Minnesota Røkkr a round away from revenge. A round away from booking their spot into the LA final. But can they close it out? This is where Atlanta FaZe, we mentioned they can be so clutch. We mentioned that they're not strangers to comebacks. This is where we see that happen so often. But first blood for Assault. Major Maniac goes down. And now a 5v4, a 5v3. Simp has fallen. aBeZy, Celium, and Priesta up. Priesta drops as well. It's a perfect start to this round for Minnesota Røkkr. Almost stayed perfect as aBeZy finds one. The challenge from Assault is enough. Celium for the 1v3 to keep FaZe alive somehow. Wins one. He also shut down Alex, and that makes this a 1v2, and it's a little possible.
He's got time. Let him work. Celium has been in spots like this many times. And you can see Minnesota, they know what they're feeling, it. They're backing up. They're playing for time.
20 seconds on the clock. Celium does not have bomb.
And he's so loud, too. I think the player that was up in the top window might be able to hear this. And even if he plants, it's going to be a quick gunfight from Assault up top.
You see him! You see him, and Celium escapes! Celium, tagged up, one shot, has to scurry away. Spot got RX, both players, one shot, Assault, clips Celium, and that is all she wrote. Minnesota Røkkr, you're heading to today's final. So many people doubted them. They get the Game 5 revenge, but the biggest question of all, Chance, can they win a championship?
If they're playing like that, it's starting to be hard to doubt them, Ben. A massive win for the Minnesota Røkkr, who have been doubted effectively the entire year, exceeding everyone's expectations consistently. And what a hell of a game. I gotta say, what a massive bounce back from Asim from that hard point to the S&D. Played like a god. What a series from Silly. The entire team, Ben. Minnesota have earned their spot in the grand finals.
Yes, they have, and it's important for them to remember. You use a lot of energy in that semifinal. You're going to need to leave something in the tank for your final. Not going to be easy at all. Dallas Empire, of course, waiting in today's final. They will have watched that entire series, knowing they're going to go up against a red-hot Minnesota Røkkr.
And keep in mind even how ridiculous that Game 5 was. You had 3 players that were, what, 0-3 in the first couple rounds?
Yeah.
And then it was, what, Silly. As soon as we called him out for it, started picking up kills left and right, got RX on point with the snipe the entire time, and just bowed down just a little bit to his team, man. 10-5. Hell of a game.
If you're Alex, 1-6.
Hey, nice job, teammates. Let's go, bro.
That's one of those games. You look to your left, you look to your right. It's all fist bumps, it's all fun and games. But as you said, Chance, it was Asim in Game 4 that really underperformed. Somehow his teammates clutched up. But in Game 5, he completely took over the map. And I believe he's down on the main stage with Lottie.
He is indeed on the main stage right now. Asim, dude, what an amazing win for you guys right now. You're in the grand finals going into this one next, and I just want to know, how are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling great. Alex, ScotterX, and me, this is our first ever final, so we got to make sure that we're just composed, deep breaths, and know that the job is not done yet, and just stay focused, try to win this ship.
How was that series for you, going against FaZe? I mean, it's very difficult to go up against an opponent who, so far, has been very, very difficult to beat. We've seen a couple of maps being taken off them, but never a win. So talk to me about how did you guys manage to even do that?
We just got to make sure that our teamwork's on point, because a team like FaZe, they don't make a lot of mistakes. They're very fast-paced, so we got to make sure that we're always together, make sure that we're not making any bad plays. And honestly, just how we won our hard points, and especially the last map 5, I just made sure that I was composed, because like against a fast team like that, the respawns aren't really going to go my way just to how fast I play. So for the S&D, I was making sure that I would just compose and make sure I was getting my kills.
Absolutely. I've said it on the desk many times right now, but I feel like your team is super underrated. I think you're the silent assassins. I've given you that nickname so far. You're so dangerous as a team together. The teamwork is unbelievable. I see it coming through every single week, and now you've just proved that you can take down FaZe. Are you going to win this thing today?
I think we are. We're super confident right now. That series just got us super gassed, so we just got to make sure we come out and we actually win this tournament.
You got Dallas next. How are you feeling about that opponent? Do you think you can take that one down? Is it going to go to a game 5?
I don't know. We'll have to see, but we have never played them on LAN, and I'm super confident after that Atlanta win that we'll come out with the dub.
Love it. Congratulations, dude. Amazing stuff. He's feeling confident right now. Asim has got this with him and his team. Minnesota Røkkr takes down Atlanta FaZe. We have a final here at the home series here in Los Angeles, and we will be right back with our final action of CDL Sunday.